Hey everyone, so I want to do a deck list that's kind of near and dear to my heart here, and this is my gotenks build. Now, I played gotenks when before all the reboot and everything like that, so like I played a lot of gotenks in my day, and this deck I wanted to kind of save this one for a little bit. Right now I am maining Vegito, like I'd mentioned in the other videos, but this is always a close second to me. So I wanted to kind of go over this deck list and give you guys my viewpoint on how to run it. So let's start by sorting this by characters A to Z. Cause yeah. So we use the reboot gotenks leader. So the awaken side or the front side is pretty standard. You have the attack, draw one. Auto if you have two or more energy when your unison activates unit skill, you may flip this card to its back. If you do, draw one card, switch on your energy active mode, and add one card from your life to your hand until you have six left in life. So that's a little different than the original because the original was if you have a unison with cost of two, you can awaken. This one's a little different. So when you activate a union skill, which you're gonna do turn one, turn two anyway, uh, you'll be able to do it. It's just you have to have that two or more energy. Standard awaken is four less life. Um, Backside is the once per turn auto. When you activate Union skill, you can play one ghost token with 15k in rest mode, and then there's the other auto that when this card attacks, draw a card. So you got the ghost token being played when you activate Union, and then you're drawing a card when it swings. The activate battle is a once per turn. Remove ghost token, and then use one of your mono green cards with 5,000 power from your drop combo with the skills negated, so you're just charging your Z energy, which is super nice because this deck does need quite a bit of Z energy. So let's get into deck build. We start with obviously right away the secret rare. We go into the Celzino. It's super good because you're easy to get out six drops and make 12 pretty easy with Grim Reaper and some of the other newer ones as well. So you have a lot of just options at that point to make him. Again, he's quad strike ultimate, deflect, energy, exhaust, successor. But if you have the five or more energy and you play this card, your opponent pitches three cards and then it gains dual attack for the turn. So good win con right there. It's just overall a really good card. So the next thing that we look at is we're going to end up looking at uh, the Doria Burning with Power. This is just your counterplay, pretty standard for green. There's not really that many you could use. I'm trying to think of the other one that's out there. There's a couple other counterplays. I just like this one because it's easier to play and you don't have to wait until you're down to lower life like some of the other ones. But if your leader card's mono green, you have Unison in play. If the battle card being played has energy or two or less, it's placed in its drop instead of being played, and then you play his card. So you do have to pay one for it, but again, it's one of the better counterplays out there for a lot of stuff right now for green that green really has access to. We do run four of the charismatic villains. Again, pretty standard for green. You're just looking at doing your counterplay when your unison's out to stop stuff from coming into play. You're going to sit there and hit it after it gets played, but you can get around deflect, which is nice as long as it's 7 or less. So pretty standard for green. This here is the new 8-drop Gotenks, so Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks Ultimate Rookie. Um, 8 cost deflect dual attack, so he's similar to Grim Reaper in the way. He does have Union's Fusion for 4. If you have 4 or more energy, you draw 2 cards, and then you can use the Sun, Goten, and Trunks Youth. But he has a permanent if your Z card's a Z leader and you have a Z battleground play, you can reduce the Union cost of 1. So he's technically a 3 cost. When you play him, that's why I run 3. He's more of late game for that. So that's why you don't run 4 of him. But then he's got the auto of your leader card's green and it has gotenks in the character's name. When this card is played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards to ignore barrier, KO it, and then you play 2 ghost tokens with 15k rest mode, and your opponent discards a card. So he's really good to get rid of the barrier removal at that point. There is quite a bit of barrier removal in this deck for green, which is weird because green doesn't really have much barrier removal. There's some stuff for it, but it's all kind of awkward. But this is just a really good card for mid to late game, especially with the 3 cost of energy and having a dual attack 30k. is just really good at that point. So we do run two of the gotenks greatest in them all, greatest fusion in them all. He is deflect unique, so that's the only downfall is that being unique right there. But he is a 19k, one green, Goten, and Trunks Youth. And then when he's played, you get to draw a card, and then you can choose one of your opponent's unison cards and marker from it. So it was a little bit better when Red was running Gogeta. Red does still run Gogeta, but um, right now unisons aren't being utilized too much from what I've seen from some of the competitive deck lists. Like they're up there, but yeah, I just haven't really seen too many unisons in what I've kind of watched and viewed and things along those lines. But again, you still have the option to remove a marker from stuff room one, which is great uh, in that aspect. So you do have the 19k swing too, which is just really good. We do run one copy of the Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks all out assault. Say that 5 times fast. Deflect double strike, so he's just a big 30k double strike swing for 2 green, and you can use AX Evolve on top of a Gotenk, so 3 or 6, so most of your stuff's going to be either 3 or 6, so you can play him turn 2 if need be. And then you can do the Union Fusion to draw a card. But the thing is when he's played, if you choose one of your opponent's unison cards and remove 2 markers from it, and then you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignore and bury and KO it. So again, another great barrier removal, and then also hitting unisons. Like I said, unisons aren't as dominant as they used to be, but still great to hit unisons that do come into play. Especially if you're trying to get rid of like Baby. Baby's one of the, or sorry, the Blue Boo unison. He's gonna be a huge thing, so like that's good to have this to play that. You just gotta be careful of God Seal and things along those lines. Even though I have Deflect, you just gotta be careful around those. But great to remove that Boo unison, and smaller ones as well too. So but yeah, so we run one of him, and then we run 4 of the man, the boy, the big guy, Gotenks, the Grim Reaper of Justice. Deflect dual attack, so similar to the other one. He's a 25k though, which not that end of the world, but he does cost 2, so he costs 1 less. And then if your leader card's a green Gotenks, when this card's played, you draw 2 cards, and then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So you don't get that barrier removal, but you still get the KO battle card, which can help you with the blockers or things like that in particular. And then the auto is when this card's removed by a skill from your opponent or KO'd, you can just put the pieces back into your hand, which is really good to be able to just draw those back because then they're free combo power if you need them, if they do decide to try and hit this guy. So really good. You want him out usually turn 2, turn 3. You want to try and spam as many as you can, but again, like I said, you do have options to play the other big ones as well, like the other 8-drop or even the all-out assault. So you do run 2 of the Gotenks Beyond Serious. So this is similar to the this guy here, greatest fusion of them all. The difference between this one is that he's a little less power. He's 16k and he has deflect, but he doesn't have that unique. So you can play more than one, but you don't get the activate main because it's a once per turn. So you can draw a card and then you get to play him with the Union Fusion. And these are the 2 that you want to see turn between him and the greatest of them all. That's what you want to see first because you're using that to awaken turn 1. Uh, and then the active main is once per turn if your leader card is green and has Gotenks in its character name and you remove one of your ghost tokens from the game, you get the draw card, and then you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it, or you can remove markers from their unison. So this is a little bit better because it's continuous, so you can always draw a card every turn if you remove a ghost token, which you should be doing and spamming the tokens because of the leader's effect. Um, but again, you're just gonna have a big board presence in this deck, and especially the ghost tokens and like big swings. So it's really hard to kind of get around some of that stuff. You just have to be careful of blue because blue's gonna negate everything you do, and then they're gonna pop your tokens as well too because a lot of stuff does hit tokens. So just always keep that in mind. Um, so then we do run 4 of the Fusion Confusion because he's a free Union Fusion. So you can do this one right away, turn 1 without paying anything. He does have Deflect and Barrier, so he is waiting to come in. And then same concept, but it's a limit 1 Union Fusion. And then the activating, if your leader card is green and has gotenks in its name, you can place this card so as drop, add 1 goten and 1 trunks card with both green from your drop or to your hand, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 3 less than KO it. So this will get your pieces back always from the drop as well if you need to, which is why we don't necessarily run, a lot of people running the pay 1, like Sun Goten, the promo. That's why we don't run him, because you have this to be able to get the pieces back. So you don't necessarily need that pay 1, add them to your hand. This will always get you them back. So just reading here, the character name, places card, yeah. So you get the pieces back after you pitch them. So like you could just play them and then pitch them and then get your pieces back. So just a great card for recycling the Goten and Trunks. We do run 2 of the Great Saiyaman super combo. Again, standard green super combo. If your leader card is green, life's at 4 or less, all your energy is green. When this card is using a combo, it gets 10k power, and then you may choose one in your hand, and then you bomb deck it and draw 2. So just good for cycling back stuff that you don't necessarily need to see right away. Most of the time you're going to want to see all this stuff, but at least it gives you the option to bomb deck 1 and draw 2 cards. We do run 4 of the Trunks Bonds of Friendship. And I really like this card, and most people don't actually use, like, a lot of people see this card, but they don't use it for this first one. So I think this first one is actually really good, just because you can play a 15k swing. So, no, I'm sorry, there's another one that I run that gets you the 15k swing. This guy here. Okay, never mind. I lied. So the active main is just, you pay 1 green, and then you discard this card from your hand, and you play 1 Sun Goten with a cost of 3 or less from your deck, and then shuffle your deck. So the way I do it with this is, like, if you need to see other stuff, you can pay the 1, and then you can use it to play this guy here, because he counts as both. So if you need to see pieces, you can do that, because he's got the activate main, which we'll go into later, and he's also got the pay. Um, yeah, so he's got the activate main, which lets you return him, but we'll talk about that a little later. But then he just has the auto that when this card is discarded from your hand by unit skill, look at the top 7 cards for 1 green unison card that has specified 2 and shuffle into your deck. So that's just going to help you search out for your Super Saiyan Vegito unison, which we're going to go into next. So again, greatest, in my opinion, unison for green. That for what at least the format has. So he's got the auto once per turn. When you activate Union Skill, draw card. So you always get an extra draw off that, especially with how much this draws. So you'll draw a lot of cards. But then he's got the +2, which beefs him up pretty quick. All the mono green battle cards gain Revenge. Now, the only problem I have with Revenge is that it doesn't hit Unisons, which blows chunks. I don't know if it hits Z leaders or not, because Z leaders are different, so that's something I gotta look into. You might be able to hit Z leaders with that revenge, but I'm not sure, so we'd have to see how that works. That's a ruling question that I have to ask later. But then, yeah, so you got that +2. You're always going to have a ton of markers on this. And then you got the -7 where you can just look at your opponent's life, place one of their drop, and then they have to shuffle their life and then pitch 3 cards. So really good unison, pretty standard for anything Union related. We do run 4 of the new Sun, Goten, and Super Saiyan Trunks Unfurled Potential. The limit 1, if your leader card is green and has gotenks in its name, when this card is placed near drop by Union Fusion skill, you may choose your leader and gets 5k for the turn. So with the Z leader doing what it does, this is going to be huge to help with that. The only thing is you gotta keep in mind, like, when you have Gogeta going into play, you've got to be careful against the red Gogeta, because some of the stuff you can't necessarily activate. So like this second one, the activate battle, you can't use that against Gogeta, but you do have the auto that when this card is placed from your drop, from your Z energy, it just gets removed from the game. And the reason why is because you have limit 1 if your leader card is green and gotenks in his name. and your green gotenks is in battle, you can use this card from your drop to combo, and then at the end of the battle, you can send this card to your drop to the warp. So basically, you're just going to use this limit 1 for free to combo to charge into Z, but then, like I said, the auto removes it from the game. So, really good card to be able to Z charge pretty quick. The other super combo we run is the Vegeta Proud Warrior. I just like this one because it's kind of enough free clones. So you can just basically, if your card is just red or green, and when this card is using a combo, you play one Cyberman token and it has unique and blocker for the turn. And it's a 5k power but 0 combo cost. So, or it does have 0 combo cost and 5k combo. So it's nice to have a blocker depending on where you're going at. Otherwise, you can use it as a combo as well too. Just like I said, I always like to run split combos. Then you go into the homicidal clones, pretty standard. Negate the attack, play the blocker token, 5 or less life, take a life, and do that. Um, this is what I was talking about before. So when you look at this guy here, so this is the other Sun, Goten, and Trunks combo card. The active means if you pay 1 and your leader card is green Gotenks and you place 1 card from your life and drop it, you can play this card from your hand. So that's, in my opinion, pretty good. Only reason why is because if you need to get the Cell successor, you can do 2 of these guys and you'll have your 6. So you'll have your other 6 at that point to be able to sell. Granted, you will be paying 2, but you'll at least have 2 free 15k swings because no one's going to really. It's hard to really say, but no one usually stops you because you're burning your life to do it. And they're gonna be like, oh, okay, why is he burning his life to play a 15k swing? But the other thing too is like you have this active main. If you leave your card as green Gotenks, you can enter this card to your hand to look at the top 5 cards of your deck for 1 green Gotenks or 1 Unison with specified cost of 2. So turn 1, if you don't see the Unison, you can do this. Like I said, there's more better turn 1 plays in this, but this will get you your Unison so you can sit there and draw off the Union Fusion skills. So the combo I like to play is you'll use this guy right here. If your leader card is green and you discard the card from your hand, you can play 1 Sun Goten with 3 or less and shuffle your deck. So you'll just basically pay 1 pitch that, go into this, and then you can have a 15k swing, and then you'll just return it to your hand, and then you'll be able to add more pieces to your hand. So it's really good for that, to be able to do just that cycling, and that's why we don't run the Hercule or the Goku. This deck just cycles through a lot of stuff really quick and has the ability to find what you want without issue. So Goku kinda is a little bit of a clog in the system, in my opinion, just because it doesn't. You have to pay 1, and then you have to wait till the next turn to actually search for his stuff. Everything we have in here is searching for it on the same turn as played, and gives you just a little bit better draw potential and just cycles a lot better. Do run one of the Golden Frieza. I think this is a really good card. Pretty clear staple. In Power 4, dual attack blocker, counterplay, play it with 3 markers, so you pay 3, counter play it, and then you can block right away. And he's a 20k block, so that's kind of nice. But then the autos, if this has 4 more marks on when this card's plays, choose all your opponent's battle cards and KO them. And then you can -4, and then it gains the triple attack and or triple strike and 10k for the turn. So it's a 30k triple strike swing, which is nice for late game finishings. If you have uh, 5, if you do the empower on it, especially with your Super Saiyan 3 Vegito, you'll always be able to get at least 3 or 4 markers on it. So you'll have 6 to 7 markers on it, depending on how you, uh, if you pay 3 or you actually get the Empower 4 off of it. So really good card. It's just a late game finisher. 3 dormant potentials. Again, green staple. Everyone should know what it does. But if you don't, if you leave your cards mounted green, choose any number of your opponent's battle cards that add up to a total of energy 2 or less and kill them. And then additionally, you may choose 1 green card in your hand, discard it. If you do, your opponent can attack 1 more time. And then you can activate this counter if you have a Unison in play. So just a good floodgate to stop swings or prevent the turn from going further. And then the biggest thing is you can use this right here. We talked about it before, but you can hit tokens with this because it says battle cards that add up to a total cost of energy or 2 less than KO them. So you're basically any card tokens count as 0, but because it says battle cards that add up to a total energy cost of 2 or less and kill them, and tokens cost 0, they don't add up to anything, so you can always hit tokens, which is nice. We do run 2 of the Boo Boo Volleyball Blast. This is just another counterattack, and then you basically get to. I run this because, again, you cycle through a lot of your pieces and see a lot of stuff, but this is just another way to get cards back into your hand. So if you leave your cards green gotenks, you can get the attack, and then you can choose one card in your hand to discard it. And then if you do, you can add one green sun goten, and then with 15k, and then one trunks with 15k from your drop to your hand. So you can use it to pitch this guy here, the new one. Where'd he go? This one here. So you can use the pitch this and then use that limit 1 to combo with this if your gotenks is in battle. And do that and then combo with it. So like you don't, it's a horse apiece because you can pitch this and then add the trunks and goten cards back to your hand, and then you can use this to combo, and then you'll have stuff going. So it's really depends on how you play it. There's just lots of versatility and different ways to play it. We do run to the Silent Goku Faded Rival. We don't run the Piccolo. I know we should, but the deck's already kind of tight, running 54 cards. You could run 56, but this is just another barrier removal because you're going to have Saiyans and Earthlings in your Z energy, and you're going to have that ability with the new Goten and Trunks combo card that we just talked about before, this one here, Unfurl Potential. So you always have stuff going into your Z energy, but he's just a double strike barrier. We don't worry about the evolve, but the auto, if your leader card is green when this card is played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignore barrier and KO it. So that's another barrier removal. So barrier is, in my opinion, you don't really have to worry about barrier in this deck, just because you have a lot of stuff going on. But then you have the activate main pay 2. If your opponent has 3 or more energy and you place one of your Saiyans, Earthlings, or Namekian cards, all green from your Z energy, in the bottom of your deck, you can play this card from your hand. So it's not like you're discarding the card, you actually are bottom decking it, and this guy really just kind of recycles everything for you too if you need to. If you decide to charge something you don't want charged in your Z energy. So 2 of those, and then we do run one of these guys. So I've always liked this card. He's a bit costly, but I think for what he does, he's really good. Double strike crit, 20k. So Vegeta, Resolute Agent of Destruction. The autos, choose one card to your hand and discard it, and then when this card is played, you can choose all your opponent's battle cards, ignore and bury and KO them. So again, board wipe if you ever need it. Late game for energy, good to have. Gives you just a little bit of versatility, and then you have the +1 gets 5k, and then the one thing is he has got the -5. So if your leader card is an evil wizard card or all your energy is mono green, you can choose 3 cards in your opponent's hand and discard them. So you always have all mono green, so you can, if you decide to +1 and he sits on the board and it goes later games and you dormant and so on and so forth, and you kind of get to the next turn, you can make them pitch 3 cards. So there's quite a bit of hand destruction in this deck depending on how you play that, but there's also a lot of draw. So that's kind of the whole deck in a whole. We'll look at the Z battle cards that we have going on. We do run 2 of the Frieza Resurrected Ambition, Deflect Double Strike, 1Z, 2 cost. When it's played, you can choose one of your opponent's cards with energy of 5 less and KO it. So you're just KOing stuff that kind of sits on the board. And then you can place one of your Z energy drop, and then when one of your other green battle cards with energy costs are 2 or more attacks, your opponent discards a card. So once per turn you can make it discard a card. I wish it wasn't a once per turn, but again, you at least get the option to discard cards. The Awakened Z Leader is a Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks Warrior's Growth. Great card. He does cost 3 Z energy though, and you have to do pay 1. So if your life's at 5 less and you're the mono green Gotenks, you can play this card on top. And then when you activate a Union skill, play 1 Ghost token with 15k in rest mode, similar to the other one. The activate lane limit 1, draw a card and switch this card to active mode. So you get 2 swings at him, which is nice, but then you have also the activate battle. So you remove 1 Sun Goten and 1 Trunks from your Z energy, and this card gains 15k and double strike for the battle. At the the end of the battle removes card from the game. So he does remove himself from the game, and you go back into the other one, but you do get the double strike and the restand as well. So you have a pretty good swing going on. So you'll swing with 5k there, and then you'll do the limit 1 restand, and then you can have the double strike, or you can swing double strike first if you need to make them burn floodgates, and then go into other things that you have going on with your other battle cards. So it's versatile. Fantastic card. I love the artwork. Always loved Super Saiyan 3 as well. One of my favorite formation or one of my favorite transformations in the game and in the series. Just overall beautiful card. Wish I had the winter one, but I don't. So if you have winter ones, always feel free to hit me up. But yeah, just a good card. And then we might just up this one to 4, but this one here we have 3 right now. So this is Piccolo's Master's Teaching, 1 energy, 2Z, auto limit 1. If your leader card is green, you have gotenks in its name, and you discard 2 cards from your hand. When this card is played, you can play up to 1 Fusion Confusion from your deck, and then shuffle your deck. So you're basically able to play this guy here off of it, and then use the activate main, add this to your drop, and then add uh, those cards back to your hand, and then you can KO a battle card. So it's kind of giving you the versatility to just basically KO stuff. This is a really KOE type deck, and you do have a lot of barrier removal. So it just, if your opponent's going to be kind of board spammy, you can hit a lot of stuff that's 3 or less. And I feel like right now the biggest thing with this is going to be the yellow Bardock stuff. That's going to be huge. You're going to have a little bit of a struggle against KOing stuff and the Goku GT, just because that's mostly 4 or less, and they're going to just go into their other big drops and have that stuff. But I mean, most decks, most of their smaller stuff is usually 3 or less. So you'll be able to use that off of the Piccolo, but he's also got another auto once per turn to switch his card to rest mode, and then when your gotenks with energy 5 more attacks, you can choose 1 card in your opponent's battle area using it in a combo. So you basically are just getting rid of a card. Unfortunately, again, doesn't ignore barrier, but you can combo with stuff on their side. So they're always going to have a very small board with the way this deck runs in particular. And you're just going to have a lot of control over what they play and don't play, because you're going to sit there and either KO it, remove it with barrier removal, or you're going to use your charismatic villains, and then you're going to draw a ton of cards and cycle through. So you should have always big board presence on your side, while your opponent has a very small board presence, and it just works out really well. I did make a side deck for this one because, like I said, I do main gotenks a lot, especially before Vegito. But this is what I run the side deck. So I like to run Chilled the Assailant. Um, Again, there's a lot of barrier removal already, and I think the Goku is a better option in this, but you can use this similar to the blue. There's a blue one that works similar to this, and I can't think of the name right off the top of my head, but it's a counterplay. But this one here has the deflect, and then when this card is played, play 2 Chilled Army tokens with 1,000 power. Um, you can do that if you wanted to pay the 3, and then you'll have some extra swings. And then you can use the activate main on the bottom here, choose 2 of your tokens, then gain 5k. So you have 20k swing plus 2 15k swings, but you really don't want to do that because you'll have your ghost tokens and things like that. But you always do have the option to activate main, discard this card from your hand, and then choose your opponent's battle cards with energy cost less than or equal to the number of cards in their hand, ignoring barrier, and KO it. So big hands will suffer against this, and it just depends on your matchups at that point. So like you can use this. I just, like I said, there's a lot of other better barrier removal options. This is just designed to remove bigger stuff as well too, just in case. Um, we did run 2 extra of these just in case there was more unisons that popped up, but this is gonna just change out. I would probably run 2 extra of the other one beyond serious, because having unique kind of cripples it a little bit. Um, Do run two Kotsukai in the extra deck. Activate main remove this card from your drop area from the game to choose two of your cards in your hand and place them at the bottom of your deck. In any order, draw two cards equal to the number of cards you placed in the bottom of your deck. And then your opponent can attack. Your opponent plays a battle card with 20k or less. They choose cards from their hand and send to the warp. So you're just gonna basically use this during your turn, and then if they want to like use counters or counter plays or things like that, this is gonna stop that. So like Topo or Vegeta, or if you're looking at doing like Vegito as an example, if they want to use this fusion, the Saiyan synergy, or any deck that really uses like counter attack and plays, even like your tokens, that stuff, it's gonna be good for that. I kind of want to main it, but it was just tight to be able to do that with 54 cards without finding something to drop. I mean, realistically, I probably could drop the Vegeta Unison, and maybe drop down one card down to like a 3 of, but again, it's just an extra card to have. Big Amora, same thing. Everyone kind of knows what this one does, but it prevents energy cards as a 5 or more from attacking until the start of your next turn. So it's a bit costly, but it gives you at least protection against Gogeta. If you know they're going to go into it next turn late, you can always sub this in and do that, and just give you that protection. Blue Impulse doesn't really see much play anymore. This is more so if you were playing old Yellow Sin, or decks that spam a lot of cards on your your opponent's turn. So like they it's more so for the Yellow Sin, which isn't really a thing anymore. So we don't really talk about that. One more Golden Frieza, so you can just sub out one of the other cards and run two of them you want. We do run the Sun Gohan Hidden Might. Deflect unique double strike. When you're 3 or less life, you can reduce this by 3. And then if this card is played and your leader's green, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignore, bury, and KO it, and then choose one of your opponent's unison cards and mark them from it. So again, it's the reason why I had these is because I randomly mained them in the other gotenks, but before all the new stuff dropped. But there's just better, like I said, barrier removal with the Goku and the 8 drop and things like that. These are just extra cards that you could drop in if you wanted to sub some stuff out. And then the Fusumasu's Deity's Wrath. Good card, indestructible, activate main 1. If you have 3 more energy, you can choose basically your charismatic villain. Um, yeah, you choose it with 5,000 power or more and a total energy of 5, and then place a new drop and place on top of it, and then when it attacks, you just discard a card um, from their hand. So it gives you a little more control if you're playing against something that's not as draw heavy for control, so you can sub it out with a couple different things depending on how you want to do. Like I said, the deck's really tight, so like these extra cards, it's very situational how you want to do it. But I just wanted to go over the Gotenks build with you because, like I said, Gotenks is one of my favorite characters from the series, and the Super Saiyan 3 as well, and I think they did him really well in this deck, especially with the reboot, just giving him a way quicker play for the Awakened, especially with having to use having two or more energy and then doing a Union skill, which you can do for free. I think it's a fantastic Awakening concept, and I think it's a really good deck, and that's why a lot of people see play with it, because it does have a lot of that barrier removal, and it does have some hand control if you want to run it that way, but it can also survive big hits and then go into late game finishes. Um, so that's just my Gotenks build. If you guys have anything that you want to say about that, go right ahead. Like I said, I've done Gotenks for quite a while here, so I'm always free to hear suggestions on what you guys think for this. But again, like I said, I've done pretty well with this deck in our locals, and uh, yeah, it's one of my favorite decks in particular. So thanks again, guys. Continue to keep watching, subscribe, and like, and comments, and let me know if there's anything else I can do different. So, all right, we'll see you next time. Bye.